Chet Holmgren is one of the most unique draft prospects in recent history. The #1 ranked player in the class of 2021 became easily the highest ranked recruit in Gonzaga basketball history, and he did not disappoint in his lone college season. As a true 7-footer with a 7'6" wingspan, Holmgren possesses a combination of interior defense, perimeter offense, and fluidity that makes him an extremely exciting prospect to watch. Let's take a look at some of his positives. The first of which is his rim protection. Holmgren has the potential to be elite as a shot blocker and as a rim protector. While his length helps him a ton on this end, Holmgren also has elite instincts, timing, and a quick jumping ability that makes him a menace blocking shots. Combined with solid enough foot speed to hang out on the perimeter and in the pick and roll, Holmgren could be elite on the defensive end. Meanwhile, on the offensive end, Holmgren's three-point shooting makes him a true 3-and-D big man. While he loved shooting the trail 3 in transition, Holmgren has also shown the capability to be able to pull up off the dribble at times. Holmgren also makes shots on the interior at an extremely high clip. He has a soft touch and is solid finishing through contact, which should only get easier for him as he gains strength in the league. He ranked as one of the best finishers around the rim in college. Holmgren also has an intriguing perimeter skill set. He handles the ball well for a big his size and is comfortable grabbing defensive boards and pushing the ball up the court. Playing for a stacked Gonzaga team, he didn't need to do too much with the ball in his hands and really forced an offensive play, but he's shown enough flashes to put stock in him being developable as a big man who can create off the dribble. These combinations of skill sets gives Holmgren the highest ceiling in the draft in my opinion. It's not often you can find a rim protecting big man with the foot speed to hang defensively on the perimeter while also being able to knock down threes and handle the ball. Here are some areas where Holmgren needs to improve, the first of which is his strength. Holmgren has a skinny frame, and although he looks like he's put on some weight in the past year, it's not enough, and critics raise questions about whether or not his body type can produce ample muscle growth. While Holmgren is just fine playing the power forward spot, his upside involves him being a nightmare matchup at the center position and having the strength to battle at that spot. While Holmgren has shown a ton of flashes from the perimeter, he still struggles to create against a primary defender off the dribble. Holmgren was much more comfortable trying to attack with momentum in transition, but in the half court, he didn't have the same creation ability. Gonzaga got Holmgren moving on the perimeter in many sets to try to give him a lane to the rim, but if Holmgren is going to fully realize his potential, it'd require him making noticeable improvements as a 1v1 and a standstill creator. Another area of struggle for Holmgren was his offensive consistency. Holmgren started the season a bit slow shooting the 3-ball, then went on a tear during the second half of the regular season. Then he regressed back to struggling behind the arc in the NCAA tournament. His assertiveness on the offensive end also waned a bit at times and was a contributor in his lack of consistency. Meanwhile, given Holmgren's size, you'd like to see him be more of an offensive rebounder. In 27 minutes per game, he only averaged 1.8 offensive boards. This can partially be explained by Gonzaga having one of the most efficient offenses in the country and Holmgren playing on the perimeter often. However, you'd like to see him make more of an impact here given his physical gifts. Now, in terms of evaluating Chet Holmgren's potential role on the NBA level and his potential impact right away, I'm going to start off with the fact that he's probably going to be a power forward right away, and I think he's completely capable of playing that position. Long term, if he puts on enough strength, I could definitely see him being a center. I think his ball handling ability, shooting ability, the way he's able to defend up on the pick and roll and defend a little bit on the perimeter, combined with his elite rim protection, would be great to have out of an NBA center. Those skills are more unique at the center spot than they are at the power forward position, but given his lack of strength currently, I think he will play at the power forward position, and I think he can play a little bit of an Evan Mobley role right away for whatever team drafts him. Now, that's not to say that Chet Holmgren is Evan Mobley. There's definitely differences between Mobley and Holmgren, but I think Holmgren could be that rim protecting 4-man that provides a great second line of defense. It would allow your center to play up at the point of screens, and Holmgren could stay back and protect the rim, or Holmgren could play up at screens, and your center could stay back and protect the rim, and having a surplus of rim protection actually allows you to be a little bit more aggressive defending the perimeter, and you're going to get a surplus of rim protection if you're playing Chet Holmgren at the power forward spot. At that position, he wouldn't have to bang as much, he wouldn't get pushed out of the way for rebounds as much, and even if he did get pushed around a little bit, you have a center there next to him to help him out in that regard. So therefore, I think Chet Holmgren, for at least the first couple years of his career, is going to be a power forward, and I think he's going to be just fine at that spot. That's why I personally have him as my #1 player on my big board, because I think that even with his lack of strength, which is the biggest issue with him, and it's the most polarizing discussion topic in regards to Chet Holmgren as a draft prospect, I still think he can be instantly impactful at the power forward position. He'll spot up and knock down threes, make the right play offensively, finish on the interior. Hopefully he can become a little bit better of an offensive rebounder. But then defensively, I think he will be a positive defender right away at the power forward position. He can come in and potentially change a defense. As far as how his offensive game translates, I think he will play a similar role that he did in college for Gonzaga. Gonzaga had a lot of top-end talent on that team, and therefore Chet didn't try and do too much offensively, and that's going to be the deal with him in the NBA, at least initially. Now, whoever can unlock his off-the-dribble ability and his potential playmaking ability will get the best version of Chet Holmgren, and you're talking about the best version of Chet Holmgren being a potential superstar. He just has a long way to go in that regard, just like Jabari Smith, but Chet Holmgren showed a little bit more off the dribble this past season than Jabari Smith did, and for a 7-foot guy with a 7'6" wingspan, you like to see that. I think he'll be able to attack closeouts and drive to the rim and make the right play initially in the NBA, and then all the other off the dribble stuff and maybe some inverted pick and rolls and things like that will have to wait most likely, but hopefully that's something that we see down the line from him. I see some people saying Chet has a low floor, but I don't necessarily agree with that. I think he will be able to be at least an adequate defender when you have instincts and timing and quick jumping ability, and you're 7 foot with a 7'6" wingspan and know how to protect the rim. You're not going to be a bad defender even if you're skinny and you might get pushed around. Not many guys back people down in the low post anymore. This isn't 2000, this isn't 1990, it's 2022. And I think at the power forward spot, he might get beat off the dribble a little bit, but he's a smart enough defender and has quick enough feet to be able to compete in that regard, especially against starting fours in the league, and starting fours in the league aren't going to bully him in the post most likely. And then I think he will at least be an adequate three-point shooter, so you're talking about a little bit of a 3-and-D guy with some size that you can play at the 4 spot that's going to protect the rim and knock down some shots. That is the bare minimum that I expect out of Chet Holmgren, and that's still a solid role player at the very least. His ceiling is hard to quantify, but his ceiling obviously involves him being a potential defensive player of the year caliber player. His rim protection is that good. I could definitely see him being a 40% three-point shooter in the league. He almost shot 40% this past year at Gonzaga. And then you're talking about somebody that I could see being a positive as a passer at the 5 spot. Obviously, to reach his ceiling, he's going to have to put on muscle to bang at that position. But if he puts on muscle with his finishing ability and how he can finish through contact, and you're talking about his ball handling ability as well, I could see him being a guy that, if he reaches his potential, is going to be able to do a lot of damage off the dribble, run some inverted pick and rolls. I mean, offensively, it's hard to even imagine what he could be on that end. The sky's the limit for him. Basically, his ceiling could be something along the lines of Rudy Gobert with 3-point shooting and being able to dribble a little bit. That's a really good player. Now, in terms of some good team fits for Chet Holmgren, go ahead and say I'm biased as a Gonzaga and a Blazer fan, but I still think Portland would be a great situation for him. In Jabari Smith's draft profile, I also listed Portland, and the main reason for that, for both these guys, is Chauncey Billups, I think, is a really good coach for helping young players develop their off-the-dribble game and develop their offensive reads. And that's the main thing for both Jabari Smith and Chet Holmgren, turning into the best versions of themselves on the offensive end. I also think Chet would be a very good pickup for Portland because they need to make progress defensively. They've struggled on the defensive end for a few years now, and they could use a power forward that could protect the rim at the level that I think Chet Holmgren could protect the rim. It would allow guys like Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons to be more aggressive on the perimeter and not have to worry too much about making mistakes, and that in turn might make those guys into better defenders as well. I also think Chet Holmgren would play Chauncey Billups' scheme well, which is playing pick and rolls aggressively. It's useful to have a rim protecting 4 behind a 5 who's playing at the point of the screen and vice versa. Some other good fits for him is Houston playing next to Alperen Şengün. I think those guys could benefit each other's games very well. He could space the floor for Şengün and help him protect the rim. Şengün's not the best defender, but a good passer, can handle the ball, and it would be intriguing to see those two guys' skill sets play off of one another. He also played high school ball with Jalen Suggs, so it would be cool to see him in Orlando to pair up with his former high school teammate. Jalen Suggs, of course, also went to Gonzaga, so if they followed the same path from high school into the NBA, that would be a cool thing. I also think that Chet would fit well next to Wendell Carter Jr. or Mohamed Bamba, and I think Orlando needs to choose between one of the two this offseason. I also think Sacramento would be a good place for him to land, to play next to Domantas Sabonis, could kind of recreate that Sabonis-Miles Turner tandem that was present in Indiana these past few years. Holmgren could help Sabonis out defensively. He's not the best defender, and then he could space the floor for him offensively, and both those guys can do some things with the ball in their hands, and they're both Gonzaga guys, so that would also be cool. Anyway, that wraps up this draft profile on Chet Holmgren. Let me know what you think about him down in the comments section below. Also, give your NBA comparisons for him. He's a really hard player to come up with a comparison for, and I'm curious to see what some comparisons are. Alright, just know Kevin Durant, he's not that guy offensively, and no Bol Bol, okay? Because he's better than Bol Bol. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a like on this draft profile. It really helps me out. It's the easiest way to help me out, and I'm out of here. Until the next one, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.